My name is Jan with Jan Patek Quilts, and I do needle turn applique. And what we're doing right now, and what we're going to do today, is focus on the techniques you'd need to use to do a watermelon block, because watermelons are really cool in the summer. Anyway, and we're using this in both our table stand quilt and in our calendar quilt block of the month, but it applies to any watermelon you use anywhere, the same techniques. Okay, in our watermelon we have 3 sections, but actually we'll move them into 2. And in the first section, you sew the you cut all this out with freezer paper applique. I don't have to tell you that, and if you don't know how to do that, go back to our freezer paper applique tutorial and learn how. But then you stitch the white rind part onto the green rind part, but then you go in and cut all the white out along the stitching. And the reason, then what we're going to do is we're going to sew the red on exactly the same way. And we're going to have to cut out behind it too. Because if you're doing the table stand, if you're going to have this machine quilting, you really don't have to cut out all those backs. I do, just because it tends to get real bulky if you don't. But you don't have to. But if you're doing hand quilting, you really should, because otherwise by the time you get all these layers to quilt around here, you're going to be quilting through 1, 2, 3, your backing is 4, your batting, and then your backing all the way down there is 5, and you may be able to make teeny tiny stitches through 5 layers of fabric, but I can't. So I cut out the back. Anyway, we've cut out the back of the first one and sewed it down. Now before I sew this one on, I go and sew all my little watermelon seeds up. And we'll do a little demo on that just as a refresher. You use a Milner needle. I probably should have gotten a pack of it, but a long Milner needle to applique with, because your fingers can hold it a lot easier. And then I have to take my glasses off and do this, ladies. I can't see up close. My oldest son, who is now 44, just turned 44, just had to get glasses for seeing up close. It was kind of funny. Although it makes you feel older when your kids need. Yeah. Anyway, finger press this under towards the top, towards the point, and just finger press it. And you've just taken a dot of Applique glue. Instead of using needles on all these, take a dot of Applique glue and put it in place. Just a little dot. In fact, that may be a bit much, but it will have to do. Okay. Now, set that in place. Now you don't have to worry about the needle. Okay? Finger press that under. Come up from behind. And your basic applique stitch, just as a matter of review, you take your needle in right behind where you came out and go about 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch and bring it up, and make sure your needle is always at an angle. Don't put it in straight. If you put it in straight, for some reason your stitches show. I don't know why, but they do. So make sure it's at an angle right behind where you came out, and stitch up to the point. This is the same point you use in star points, but it's just a, you know, a lot of people don't think a watermelon seed has the same kind of points, but it does. But we'll do a refresher anyway. Okay, when you get to the point, you've made a stitch, you make a stay stitch. And I'm kind of like Jenny, I make up my own names for stitches. It's a stay stitch because you want the fabric to stay there. Okay, now you fold this back and trim this off at an angle there. Now you go and you cut that straight across. And then I think I also would take this and at an angle, trim some of that, because it's folding all that stuff under that makes bulky points. Okay, now you notice we haven't been using our needle at all. You've got your finger under here. You take this and you fold it straight across, and then take your thread and pull it, make sure it's tight, and then fold it under, and you're pressing against your finger underneath there, and you get a nice sharp point. Okay, now you pick your needle back up. And see, this is why I haven't sewed that on first. This is just a little easier to do if you're dealing with a smaller piece of fabric. And that's what I like about applique. You can, you know, take it to your doctor's appointment, taking to your, got to take 2 grandchildren to the optometrist and get contacts this Friday. This will go with me, so I have something to do while they're having their exams done. Well, probably not this block, but one similar. I'm always, you usually don't see me without applique. When I went to I tore the meniscus in my knee and had to go to an orthopod, and when I made the appointment, the lady I made the appointment with said, "Oh, and are you going to bring any quilting? I've seen your stuff on YouTube." And I said, "I always have quilting with me. Very seldom do I go someplace without some quilting with me." And she said, "Well, I'll find you and we'll sit and talk quilting." And that was fun. If you got to go to the doctor, you might as well get to sit and talk quilting too. Okay, now we're to the corner, and what we're doing is we're using our needle and our fingers to just gently turn under the curve, and you take a stitch or two okay, and you just take a stitch or two and then turn it a little, pull it back out if you need to, tuck it under if you need to. But since you've already done the prep work of drawing on the line, tracing your pattern on the fabric, all you have to do now is follow the line. And as I've said before, I listen to TV at night with my husband while he watches it, and you don't really have to think. And I like a time of day when I really don't have to think. And sewing is so relaxing. You've already got your line there. Okay. And you just keep pushing it under with your needle, pushing it under with your fingers. All right, there. We've got our seat on. Now to end it, I go to the back and make a stitch. I usually make 2. And then make sure you stay on the top and take the tail of your thread away from where it came out, and there you have a little watermelon seed. So to recap what we've done today, we used our freezer paper applique directions and sewed the white rind to the green, cut the green out behind the white. We've sewed, used our glue and our applique stitch and done a point and a curve and sewed our seeds onto the red part, and then we will sew the red watermelon onto the background. And when we get through, we have a really neat table stand quilt, if you do it twice, which is fun, it's a fun block, we will also have the next block in our calendar quilt, and we will have played with seeds and watermelons. We hope you've enjoyed this tutorial from Jan Patek Quilts on watermelons and watermelon seeds. If you have, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks, and have a good day.